right. Hi, everyone. I have a book coming out today, or I have a book that came out today. It's called The Love Trials. It's this book right here, and I'm very excited about it. And I thought that I would come on the channel and just hang out for a little bit just to celebrate the book launch. I would love to answer any questions about the book, answer any questions about the writing process, about anything that has to do with the love trials. I am incredibly excited that this is finally going out into the world. This book has been the product of a large amount of extremely hard work. I have worked really, like, I worked so hard on this book for the past year, and just my entire existence was consumed by this book. And it feels very surreal that it's finally going out into the world. So I'm very, very excited. If anyone has any questions about like the writing process, about the story, about anything at all, please feel free to ask me in the comments. If I don't have any questions, usually what I do is I just hang out here and I write and I work on a book that I'm working on for like half an hour to 45 minutes. So if I'm not getting any questions, I will just be writing and I'll keep an eye on the comments and the questions that come up and would be super happy to answer them as they come in. So, yeah, thank you for popping in and for joining me. And I will be working on doing my favorite release day activity, which is always working on book two and working on my next writing project. So, I'm pretty deep into that draft already and I'm loving it. And yeah, that's what I'll be doing. Thank you for stopping by and yeah, ask me any questions if you have any. Thank you so much. I'm very, very excited. I can't, it feels very surreal that this book is out today and just, I don't know, I feel like I've been hyping it up and like marketing it for such a long time. And I've just been working on it for so long and it's just been in my head and in my heart for such a long time that it feels crazy to just like be releasing it. But yeah, it's out there now. I'm very happy. Thank you so much. I am very, very, very grateful for all of you stopping by and celebrating with me. This is really the biggest book launch of my career, and I've just been blown away by the response and by the turnout and just everything. So, very, very excited. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for jumping into the live and for coming and hanging out with me. I am here to talk about love trials, answer any questions about it. I should probably let you know what the love trials is about. That would be a useful thing for me to do. The love trials is an, ready for this, genre mash. Enemies to lovers, dark romance, horror, thriller, suspense, paranormal book about a girl who joins a group of ghost hunters who hunt the ghosts of serial killers. It's inspired by Criminal Minds, Supernatural, and Saw. And the serial killer that they hunt in this book is inspired by Saw, and he makes couples, like he's known for making couples play games, like in Saw, designed to prove that love has a breaking point or prove that love can break. And he ends up like the main character ends up getting entangled with this serial killer and the serial killer ends up like forcing her and her worst enemy through these love trials, but like he thinks that they're a couple but they're actually enemies, so it's enemies to lovers and Saw and lots of like ghost hunting and it's like if the criminal mind if criminal minds and supernatural had a baby and like the criminal minds BAU was a lot younger, like in their early 20s, and hunted go like serial killing ghosts. So they're like I had to create a whole system of like behavioral profiling for this like ghosts and how like serial killer psychology changes and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm obsessed with this book. I absolutely love it. Oh, cool. Got a question. Did you have any plot holes? And if you did, how did you fix them? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No. So, what I do when I write is I like to write in layers and like I like to kind of write in giant passes. So, my very first pass of a book is very feelings and emotions driven. Like, it's just me going through and figuring out like what makes me excited, what makes me feel something. I like the mechanics of things, like the world building is never there in my first draft. I always focus on like just trying to figure out like what scenes actually make me feel something. And then later I will go in and like world build around what I want the story to be. Because I write emotions first. So when I wrote Love Trials, I had absolutely no idea what the world would look like. And I just knew generally that it was going to be about like hunting these serial killer ghosts, but I had no idea what the psychology system would be. I had no idea like kind of what even the vibes would be. Like that was a world like I did that in a later past when I like figured out exactly what I wanted the world to feel like, and then I created it around that. But all of the scenes that I wanted to have happen were what determined that. So if I wanted to have a scene where like, they contained ghost in like a containment unit or something, because like in this world the ghost hunting team keeps every serial killer that they've ever captured in a containment unit in the basement of their house. They're like living with all of these serial killer ghosts, and they're like in drawers, almost like morgue drawers, and they can pull them out and like interview them in these like glass domes. Because I wanted to do like the Silence of the Lambs things, I thought that would be really cool if like I could kind of have like a pseudo ghost prison and they could like actually talk to the ghosts. So like I had a scene in my mind where like, oh, the main character is going to hear one of these ghosts in the basement, and I had absolutely no idea how that was going to happen, or like what would end up like how the world building would be structured in order for that to happen. I had another idea where like, they get contaminated with ghost ectoplasm and it makes their emotions go totally haywire. And I had no idea how that was going to happen, but I liked that as like a literary device, because if their emotions are going all over the place, there's a lot I could do, especially from like a writing romance perspective with that. So I thought that would be really fun. So when I was writing my draft, I like literally just went through and wrote the scenes I thought would be fun, and then I'd go back and build the world around that. So there were tons of like world building holes throughout many, many drafts, but that's very normal, like for my process. I definitely had like many little plot holes and like especially many inconsistencies. I really focus a lot on details, and I'm a very detail oriented writer, but not at the beginning. Like all of my details and stuff, I like come and get fixed later. So I had a lot of like, and also when I'm writing character backstories, those change, and I will like decide what that character's backstory needs to look like in order for the story that I want to tell to be able to exist. So, I'll be like reading drafts and there'll be all these little contradictory details everywhere. Like, my main character was in foster care for a lot of her childhood. And then in my early drafts, she would talk about foster care and like talk about, oh yeah, the house I was in when I was 13 for 2 years. And then she'd talk about the one she was in 14 or like at 14, and it was different somehow than the one that she was in when she was 13, but like the timelines are different. So yeah, definitely lots of plot holes. I can't think of any like big ones off the top of my head, but there were a lot of small ones peppered all throughout the drafts and all throughout this process. But that's why it takes me a really long time to write the books too, is because like I really don't ever want to cut any corners with my details, and like I also let everything have its time and its place in the process. Like I want to go through every single step to make sure that like my end product, like I can stand behind it 100%, and like it's the absolute best quality that I can possibly publish. Um, oh, cool. We got some more comments. Um, Thank you. Yeah, it's the book is now available on my website. So I sell my books direct, and I have all of the copies available on my website. I have like special edition paperbacks I have some like scratch and dent special edition paperbacks. These have actually sold out with the sprayed edges on them. But like I have ones with like little tiny dents in the corners, or like slight shipping damage, or like maybe one of these edges like has a white line in there that's like kind of a misprint. So I have those available on my website. I have these beautiful special edition hardcovers. I'm just going to grab one. Beautiful special edition hardcovers still in stock that have these like special edges and like these really cool internal page borders. I have custom chapter headings. There are 5 different custom chapter headings that were designed by a human artist. Everything, obviously is like done by a human, all the art, all of like the editing, all of the writing. Um, I have all of these really cool like scene breaks and everything in there, and like I wanted to design these like they're a work of art, and I've designed like a separate hardcover case as well. And like these hardcovers are such good quality, and I just absolutely love them. So I have those available on my website. I have the ebook available on my website as well, and that one has bonus content in it. So if you get it on Amazon, it is also available on Amazon and on Kindle, the ebook and the paperbacks. But the ones that are with me or come from my website also come with bonus content. So yeah, I'm very, very excited. um Thank you so much. Yeah, I absolutely love the premise. This is like this story completely captured my heart and my imagination and just I absolutely love that book. Um, let's see. Do you count your drafts? Yes, I do. I don't necessarily like break my draft. I do count them, but sometimes it's like a little bit hard to differentiate them. Like, I have my first draft, which is obviously my very first stab, and then I will call like my first draft with all of my changes and all of the like edits that I've made to it, my second draft. But that's just kind of like, my first draft with edits to it. But I mean, I guess that makes it a second draft. It's just like sometimes the line gets a little bit muddy. Like if I cut a bunch of words, because when I wrote the book, it was 200,000 words. And then when I did my changes, I added 40,000 words to it. So it was like 240,000 words. And then I cut it down to like 153,000 words. So then I was like, well, do I call that my third draft of it? Like, so I do count my drafts, but like the counting can kind of get a little bit muddied. But yeah, I try to keep track of it, and keep track of what I'm doing in each draft. Let's see. Um, oh, these are cool questions. I like to hear you do emotion first. I have to write out the scenes and world building. Then I go back and do emotion. It's awesome to see how different people write their story. Yeah, that's exactly like people's brains work in such different ways. And that's why on this channel, like whenever I'm sharing writing advice, I always try to be really clear and upfront about the fact that like this is only what's working for me. And what works for me is not necessarily going to work for you. And like everybody has to experiment with a bunch of different things in order to figure out what works best for them. And like the only way to figure out what works best for your own brain and your own process is by like experimenting and trying a bunch of stuff. I've tried all sorts of different writing strategies, and like this is what is now working for me. But I love doing emotion first just because I read to feel things and I write like what makes me connected to a story is the emotion. And so I always try to think of the scenes that make me like the most excited or like make me the most unsettled or the most scared, and then piece those together and like I figure out the logic later. And like at the beginning, I just want to get all of the feelings correct. How long did it take for you to create each character and figure out what you were happy with? This is a great question. Characters is something that has always like the character building is my favorite part of writing a book. It's always been my favorite part of writing. I just love, love, love creating characters and getting to know characters. It is also like I will be the first to say that I'm not a very naturally talented prose writer. I had to work really, really hard to try and learn how to improve my prose. And like I've had many writing coaches and many writing teachers tell me that like I had no voice and like my prose left something to be desired. And then I would just, I get like sad about it and then like overcome with determination and be like, I'm going to figure out how to hack this and I'm going to improve this and make this better. And I'm really proud of my prose now. And I really, really like my writing style. But that is something that like I really had to work towards consciously like developing, and characters is something that has always come fairly naturally to me because I can always like maybe it's just because it's like a feelings forward thing, like I can really easily emotionally connect with my characters and get inside their heads. And so I don't really know how I create characters. That's still something that is a little bit nebulous for me, and that's why I haven't made really any videos on this channel talking about character creation and how I make characters because I don't really have an actionable system to share. But one thing that one thing that happened to me while I was developing the characters in the love trials is that they didn't all jump out at me from the page in the same way. Some of them were immediately clear from like the very first draft. They were extremely clear. They came out and just like the version of them that is published is the version that was always of them from the second I started writing. But others changed a lot. And when I started designing the team, what I really wanted to create was I wanted to create a found family, and I wanted to create a working dynamic between a group of these people, 6 people, 7 people, and every single one I wanted them to play a different role and like have a little bit of a different like a different personality, a different role, and like a different function on the team, so that all of them would like kind of be interesting voices. Like I didn't want to have 2 people that were like maybe 2 people that were very very grumpy in the same way, or like 2 people that were really really bubbly and smiley in the same way, or 2 people like I wanted them all to be very distinct. And so I thought a lot about balancing that and balancing that as a cast. And so I kind of started with general archetypes. And then I also like had pulled some inspiration from my favorite characters. So like when I was just starting out writing and like sketching out the cast, I would say like, okay, this character is like, kind of like this character from this TV show, or this character is kind of like this character from this TV show. So I could visualize what the cast would feel like. And then as I started writing, they like immediately jumped out at me as their like some of them immediately as their own individual people, and then I got to know them more as I would like finish my draft, because I usually have to take the full first draft until I get a really good sense for who a character is. So I'd say, I mean, you probably, I don't know if any of you have read the book who are here, but if anybody's watching the replay who has read the book or after reading the book, Griffin jumped out at me immediately, exactly who he is from the very first draft. DJ jumped out at me from exactly who she is from the very first draft. Zoe took a lot of like thought and planning to try to figure out what kind of person I wanted her to be. Like I played around with a very peppy Zoe, but then she was too much like DJ. I played around with a like just different or kind of like a, if any of you have read They Stay, I for a while had Zoe feel a little bit more like Francesca from They Stay, like a little bit more like Luna Lovegoody, like a little head in the clouds, kind of um just maybe like romantic and just very whimsical. And then the version of Zoe that is published is more of like an April Ludgate cross like Rosa Diaz type character who is like very stony faced all the time and like insults her entire team all the time. And but just like she would do anything for him, but it's kind of that like really tough character, and like that really balanced the very bright bubbly characters that I had. So it was a combination. Benji was a character that I really struggled with. And I originally had him, he was just a little bit too much of like a genius archetype in my first draft of the Love Trials. And when I sent it out to beta readers, a lot of people weren't connecting with him because he just like felt like Wikipedia, like he would just spit facts all the time. And he wasn't very interesting to people. So I had to do a lot of conscious thought about what I could do to make him very distinctive and unique and lovable. And he was one that I kind of built a little bit more. And my main character, Eden, is one that I really struggled with a lot too. She went through a lot of development. Like I've made videos on the channel talking about like I thought that I'd written like a cool main character, and then I got beta reading feedback where people were like, she is absolutely completely insufferable. And I had to feel like, because sometimes you lose perspective while you're writing. Like I was just so focused on the story that I was a little bit too close to it to see why all of these, like why she was making these really horrible choices. Like I'd have these scenes that I wanted to have happen for the plot, and because I thought they were interesting, and because I felt like they made me emotionally feel something. But in order for me to get her from like point A to into that scene, like maybe she would have had to make like a decision that made her unlikable and things like that. And so I had to do a lot of work reconstructing her. And after I sent the book off to beta readers, I've rewrote every single word in that book. And she is completely different in the final version than she was in the beta read, and so much better as a character. And that process taught me a lot about like writing characters and like creating three-dimensional characters, and especially main characters, and how to make a main character sympathetic, because it's very easy to make people hate your main character. So yeah, so it was kind of a mix. Nico jumped out at me exactly as he was. He also is not a character that changed very much at all. I think he used to be even more uptight in my original draft. He was a lot more closed off. And then the overwhelming feedback I got from beta readers is that people wanted more of him and wanted to see more of him. And so I added more of him and I loosened him up just a tiny bit. So in my original draft, he was very, very stony and serious all the time. And then in my final draft, he is making jokes and has a sense of humor, even though, as Eden says, that he likes to deliver them with the enthusiasm of someone reading assembly instructions. Like he's very like kind of controlled, but there's just, a glimmer of humor and a glimmer of wit to everything that he says. And that's something that I added in the final version. But he's also a character that stayed pretty close to my original conception. Did you delete any characters from the love trials? Let me think. I didn't. I don't think I did. All of the characters that I came up with and that I knew that I wanted on the team and that I came up with in the story stayed, and they're in the published version. I changed how some like I changed the relationships and like changed different functions of things to like create the versions of them that exists in the final. But yeah, no, they're like I mean Benji was very different in the first draft than he is in the final draft, but there's still a kid named Benji in both of them. So yeah, no, that actually surprisingly stayed the same. Um, oh, thank you so much for the gift. That's very, very kind of you. Um, oh, get some special bookmarks for the new book. Yeah, I don't actually have custom bookmarks that I've made for the Love Trials yet. I really wanted to include those as a pre-order bonus, but there were already so many things I was doing for the pre-order that I was just like, I was overwhelmed by how many things I had to design and get designed because I'm not a good artist. And I just ended up deciding to not do bookmarks and focus on other goodies and things. But yeah, I did think about including those in the pre-order. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for popping into the live. I really, really appreciate you coming out and joining us. Um, all right, let's see. Um, thank you so much for all of the great questions. What would you recommend for someone wanting to get into writing but doesn't really have anyone close that writes or reads much? You don't need anybody close to you that writes or reads much. Just write. Like you can it's great to have like writing friends and stuff, but I never really did when I was growing up and when I was in school. I just always loved to write and I would write all of the time and I just have these stories and occasionally like I would find other people that love to write, but like maybe they didn't like to write the same thing that I did, or like they were like writing to or liking to write other things, but that never took away from my ability to write. So do not let that stop you. Just go and write the story that you want to write and find people on like find communities like the fact that you're in this one and like that's great. I think it's important to have people to like watch like if you watch videos about writing, if you like having other like external like a kind of writing group type thing, like there are a lot of people that do writing sprints like on YouTube. You could even just like go to one of these writing sprints and hang out with the creator and like just write your book because like they'll set a timer and then they'll write for a specific allotted amount of time and then you can like write during that time too and then you take a break and then you can have some water and like watch the video and that can make it feel like you're kind of part of another community. So there are a lot of resources online for stuff like that, but definitely do not let the fact that like you don't have anyone really super close to you that writes or reads much stop you from going and learning how to write a book. um Yeah, there you go. See, you just made some friends that like to write. The fact that you're here and like this community, like all of us here are writers and all of us here love writing. So being a part of things like that is very good. Yeah, see? Just write and like just write for yourself. That is also my advice. All right, let's see. In a book series where the story continues from book to book, how do you decide if the ending is satisfying for each individual book? What percentage of loose ends do you close? This is a very good question, and this is something I've developed kind of stronger opinions on, and it's not something that I've always done the same way. So I have this published 5 book paranormal thriller series. It's called They Stay. And I, when I wrote They Stay, was of the mindset that if I had a very strong cliffhanger at the end of every single book that I wrote, that my read through would be amazing and everybody would be able to jump from book to book to book. My read through was not amazing in my series. And upon reflection, I realized that, and because like upon reflection and thinking about why I read books and like why I move on to the next book in the series and why I go like from book to book to book, it's not because of a cliffhanger where I'm like, I need to figure out what happens. That's not what makes me read the second book. What makes me read the second book is I want to have the same feeling that reading the first book gave me. So if I felt like, you know, that I mean, I don't know if like in my book there's like a big found family, so if I'm reading like a book and I'm like, oh, you know, they have this like really really tight knit close found family and I just want to exist with those characters more, and like that would be a reason that I would read the second book. Like a reason that I probably might not read a second book is if, you know, the first one wasn't wrapped up very well and it left off on a huge cliffhanger and then like maybe I'll want to know what happens, but it always kind of leaves me a little bit frustrated, especially if the second one isn't out yet and I have to wait. And then by the time that the second book comes out and like has been written maybe a year later, then I've kind of forgotten about the first one and I've forgotten why I care so much to find out what happens. And then it doesn't leave me with the same like feeling that, return like that the first option of that would. So the way that I like to think about this is like I want to deliver an emotion to readers that I can replicate, and like that in a next book I want to be able to give them the same feeling that they did while reading the first one. And the reason that they're going to come back to the second one is because they want that feeling again and because they care about the characters. And you don't need a cliffhanger in order to get read through. In fact, I think that actually you're going to have better read through if you just focus on giving them the right feeling, because readers are going to like trust you and they're going to know that you can write a solid ending where kind of things are closed and like self-contained, and they're going to want more. People read a second book if they want more. So, with that being said, I like to leave like one loose end that will pull into the next book, but I like to basically treat it like a standalone. Like my full character arc is completed, everything is like all the way done. Like I like the way I'm going to be structuring the Love Trial series is I'm going to structure every single book kind of like an episode of Criminal Minds where like there's one serial killer that the book is focused on and it follows that case, and by the end of that episode or by the end of that book, that serial killer has been like the mystery is solved, the serial killer is caught or, dealt with in some way, and there's resolution. So I really like that structure because the characters can kind of maybe grow and change like between books, but it's like a self-contained case every single book. And that, like, is that is what like brings me back to watching shows like Criminal Minds, is because like it's a kind of a very familiar, comforting structure, and with characters that I'm attached to. And I like the feeling that it gives me where it's like it's a mystery, there are threads and things that are untangling, but I know that like, I mean, most of the time, I know that like the mystery is going to be solved and it's going to be like, the bad guy is going to get justice and like everything is going to be all wrapped up at the end, and then we're going to move on to the next one. So I think that's my opinion. Like, so the Love Trials is a fully, like, you can read the Love Trials as a standalone. It's a fully self-contained book. It's a fully self-contained story, but there is more to the story that can be told and that will be told because, like, there's more that I want to do with the characters. There is more to their character growth and more to their character journeys. And the way that I've wrapped it up is that I like treat it like a full standalone, and then I have one little tiny thread that will push into book two. So it's not a cliffhanger, it's just like an open door for somebody that wants to move through it instead of like a giant unanswered question. Oh, that's so exciting. I'm so excited that you got your special edition. I am so, so happy that you're enjoying it. I'm so excited that you can't put it down. That makes me so happy. Yeah, these are the special editions. These two, the paperbacks and the hardcovers. I had so much fun designing these. I just absolutely love them. These are the two that I kept for myself as my desk copies because I like to be able to have like copies on my desk for as I'm working on subsequent books. I can have these as like a referral, so or a reference for future books. So I feel bad I'm gonna like end up annotating and writing in these. They're just so pretty. I don't want to write in them, but yeah. Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you so much for pre-ordering it. That seriously means the world to me, and it helps me so, 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 so much when you order directly from my store. Like, I thank you so much for doing that, and I'm so, so excited that you're enjoying it. um, all right, let's see. Um, have you used Readsy as a writing software? I have not. I've used it like in the capacity of I'm going to make a YouTube video sharing options for different writing software. And I'd go on it and try to figure out how it works, but beyond that, I haven't personally used it for any of my writing projects. I personally like using Scrivener. I love Scrivener. I've been very impressed by Dabble. I think Dabble is a very cool software. I'm just so used to using Scrivener, so I'll kind of dart between Scrivener and Dabble, but yeah, mostly use Scrivener. Oh, as a community and weekly contests, no, I don't. I've never done that. All right, let's see. Thank you so much for all of the fantastic questions. Um, As a man, at what aspect should I focus on writing female characters? I don't know if that's a question. It's just the first time I'm writing a female character and I want to be precise. This is a very, I don't really know how to answer this question, to be completely honest. Um, I would say that women are people and focusing less on the fact that like it's a female character and just it's a character and you're just writing a character that has goals and wants and things that they love and things that they don't love and fears, and just you're writing a fully fleshed three-dimensional human being in your story. Like, don't think too much about the like gender of your character. Just like first fully focus on like writing a fully realized character. I am sure there are other videos that go into more depth into this topic on YouTube. I am actually absolutely positive because I've seen them. So I would recommend going and watching some of those videos if you're looking like to take it to the next level and get some things to think about. Um, because yeah, I would really have to do a lot of digging into that to come up with a better answer for you. And this is my book launch live, so it's not a writing tips live. But yeah, thank you all so much for coming out and asking me questions and just hanging out with me. And I'm so grateful to everybody who pre-ordered the book. And I'm just really, really excited that I get to share this story. It has been so much work, and this has been such a passion project for me, and just something that I've poured absolutely everything that I have into. So I'm just very, very excited that it finally gets to go out there. So yeah. Um, if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them into the chat. I might stay on here for just a couple more minutes and then I am going to end the live and go continue doing my favorite release day activity, which is writing. I've been doing so much admin stuff as I've been preparing for launch, and I've just been working so hard on trying to make sure that like all of the, because as an indie author, I'm the one that like I write the book, but I manage all of the design and the distribution and like making sure that all of the files are uploaded everywhere. And then now that I've opened my own direct store, creating the product pages, doing every single stage of fulfillment. So like managing the like ordering from the printer, managing the shipping, managing like getting all of the packing materials, actually packing the books, actually signing them, actually driving them to the post office and making sure everything is fulfilled, and like just all of the things that go into it. And then all of the marketing and like posting on social media and trying to learn how to do that. It's all me that does all of that. So around a book, and this is like the most involved I've ever been with a book launch. So it's been absolutely incredible. I'm so overwhelmed with gratitude and completely blown away by the response that I've gotten to this book. So I'm very, very excited, but I'm also very tired. And today, now that the book is out, I really just kind of want to take a second and just celebrate the accomplishment and relax and like have some ice cream and do like work on writing, because I haven't done a lot of writing in the past couple weeks. I've done a little. I'm about like 30,000 words into book two, but I haven't done a ton of it, and I'm just dying to sink my teeth into that. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for this to be out there, and I think I've done everything that I need to do, and like I've created all the systems I need to create, and now I can get back to doing my favorite thing in the world. So um, thank you so much. I'm so glad. I don't feel like I have a lot of energy right now, but I'm very, very happy that you are here, and that you think so. Thank you. And I am very happy. Like I've learned, and I am continuously learning so much self-publishing and running my own business. Like it's amazing how much goes into all of these different stages in the writing and publishing process. And I don't know, all of these different things that kind of go into running a little business too. Like I've never ever done like shipping and stuff before and had to figure out like how to order giant batches of books and how to deal with little random charges that you get from FedEx and all these different things, and how to manage inventory and yeah, all that kind of stuff. So it's been really great. Oh, I'm so excited that you are going to buy it. Thank you so much. And I really hope you enjoy it. It is now available pretty much everywhere. I am selling direct copies on my website, and I recommend getting it from there because that's where you get the bonus content. And on Kindle, I also have ebooks and paperbacks available on Kindle, but they don't have bonus content. It should be available in Barnes and Noble starting very soon, but Ingram Spark has to still like, approve my files and push it out there. All right, let's see. When you were younger and had less experience and more doubts, how did you overcome them? Prose doesn't come easily to me. Overthinking and fear stop me from writing. Any advice? Prose never came easy to me either. Stories always came easy to me, and I just always loved storytelling. But the actual writing has always like it has been a challenge for me. And now I'm very happy with like kind of where I'm at with writing. Like I feel very like a lot more confident. And like my prose is not super fancy, but because that's what like I love storytelling and I write for the story. And I've my goal for my prose is to make it like as simple as possible so I can kind of like have it blend into the background of the story and just have people be able to fully experience the story. So what I did when I was really trying to learn how to like improve my prose is I would focus on one thing at a time. So I wouldn't try to like improve my dialogue and my description and my pacing and my like everything and my voice all at the same time. I would go through and I'd like pick one thing. And in that pass through my manuscript or through my story, I would focus on that one thing. Like, I'm just going to make sure that my dialogue sounds very natural. And like, I would just focus on that and like really pay attention to that. And if I was being too much of a perfectionist and if I was overthinking it, because I'm also a super perfectionist and overthink everything, the fast drafting really helped me. So trying to get that on the page as fast as I possibly could and then working on like okay I'm gonna in my editing passes now I'm gonna work on my dialogue and now I'm gonna work on improving my description instead of doing that as I'm writing. That really helped. Focusing on the advice of like write first, edit later, that was all very very useful for me just because I also like I used to get really sticky in my head about just if I was overthinking it and being a perfectionist about my writing, then I would jam up and I wouldn't be able to write anything. So always trying to create as much content as you can, I think is really important. Um, I think action is really helpful. Like I even when I didn't want to, even when I was nervous, I was just focusing on quantity of prose. Like I wanted to just write something, even if it was bad. Like when I would just put something on the page, and then after that, I would learn how to edit it later. And like then I would do those passes where I'd focus on the dialogue or the description and all those different little things. And over time, and by going through that exercise, it became a lot more internal and like subconscious for me. So then I would find that over time, naturally, my drafts just ended up having better dialogue or ended up having better description without me having to think about it. But it took me having to think about it and like really actually force myself to go through the exercises in order for it to become a subconscious thing. So yeah, I'm sorry. I absolutely know, and I've felt that before because I'm also a perfectionist who had, and obviously, like I still am a perfectionist, and like I still overthink things, and I'm still scared of things, and I still have doubts, and like that doesn't necessarily go away with more experience, but you do learn how to put it in perspective, and you do learn how to overcome it and write through it, and your writing does improve. But the only way that your writing improves is not only by like actually writing but writing and reflecting and writing and reflecting. And that's an actionable thing. Like that's something that you can actually do. You force yourself to write, then you force yourself to reflect. And you just keep taking those actions even when they feel hard. And eventually, like internally, things are going to start coming out easier. But people like to say writing's like a muscle. Like the more that you write, the better it like the easier it is. And I think that to some degree that's really true. All right. I think maybe I can do one more question and then I'm going to sign off. But thank you so much to everybody for coming to this live stream. I'm very, very grateful for you taking the time to come and hang out with me and celebrate this day with me because it's a big deal. um, let's see. Oh, I actually I can't do any signed copies through Amazon because Amazon's a print on demand company and they're not fulfilled by me. So even though they're sold on Amazon, Amazon prints every single copy of my book upon receiving the order and ships them out to the person. The only way to get signed copies is by ordering from my store because I'm the one that handles the fulfillment of all of those orders. on Amazon, like that book does not, I don't even see that book before it arrives with you, like because the file goes to their printer and then their printer prints it and then they just ship it out directly. So I actually am physically incapable of doing that, but I do offer every single physical book that is sold in my store, whether it's like one of the scratch and dent ones, whether it's like any physical book, they all come signed and they all come with bonus content and they all come with like special little bonus goodies too. All right. Oh, and is this a trilogy? It is not a trilogy. It is going to be a slightly longer series. I haven't quite finished my full series outline, so I can't tell you how many books it's going to be. And I'm not like ready to come out and make that announcement, but I can tell you it will be more than 3 books, but fewer than 10 books. And it will be structured like Criminal Minds, like every single book will focus on a different case, and the characters are going to be consistent through all of the books, but the actual mystery and case itself will stand alone every single book. So I'm very, very excited. If you are interested at all in reading the Love Trials, it's now available everywhere. I'm so, so excited to share it with you. Thank you all so much for coming and celebrating with me. I, yeah, hope you have a great week.